Have you ever felt this way? You achieve the goals that everyone says are important. Get your work done. Take care of your family, yet happiness still seems to elude you. The more you chase after it, the further it feels. In this video, we will explore 6 harsh truths, things that might make you uncomfortable but are the keys to unlocking a life of freedom and meaning. Get ready to embrace them, because sometimes the hard truths are exactly what you need to change your life. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. It means a lot to us. Thank you for your support. Let's get started. Number 1. Life is unfair. And that's okay. Life is unfair. This is a truth most of us are reluctant to accept. Society teaches us that if we work hard, we will be rewarded accordingly. If we live well, we will avoid suffering. But reality is full of contradictions. Good people still endure hardship, and bad people sometimes succeed. This can easily lead to disappointment or even bitterness. But pause and think. Does resentment help you change anything? Remember that fairness is an illusion, and you don't need a fair world to live well or be happy. What matters most is how you respond to these injustices. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, once said, "You may not control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you respond to it." This is the key. Instead of wasting energy blaming the unchangeable, focus on the actions you can take to adapt and overcome. Stoic philosophy also teaches us about amor fati, love your fate. This doesn't mean passive endurance, but learning to embrace even adversity because it brings opportunities for growth. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor, is a prime example of this philosophy. When the Antonine Plague broke out, claiming the lives of millions, he did not complain or lose heart. Instead, he focused on serving his people and implementing policies to mitigate the impact. In Meditations, he wrote, "Accept whatever happens as part of nature. Do not ask why it happens, but ask, what does this teach me?" This is the spirit of amor fati, turning adversity into an opportunity to act and strengthen your inner resilience. A more relatable story. Imagine you've worked hard for years, sacrificing personal time and achieving significant accomplishments. But when a promotion opportunity arises, it isn't given to you. Instead, a less experienced colleague is chosen simply because they fit the company culture. At first, you feel angry and disappointed, but then you realize sitting there blaming won't change anything. Instead, you decide to leave and carve out your own path, one that aligns better with your values. That is the power of letting go of expectations about fairness and focusing on what you can control. When facing adversity, try changing the way you ask questions. Don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" This question only makes you a victim. Instead, ask, "What can I learn from this? What will I do to overcome it?" To cultivate this mindset, an effective exercise is journaling. Divide your page into 2 columns, one side for things you cannot control, like other people's decisions, the weather, or unexpected situations. The other side for things you can control, like your reactions, your action plan, or your attitude. Focus on the second column, and you'll feel more empowered and less consumed by negative emotions. And practice amor fati every day. Welcome everything that happens with gratitude. Remind yourself, this is also part of my life, and I will use it to grow stronger. The unfairness of life is inevitable, but how you overcome it defines who you are. The strongest people are not those who have never faced adversity, but those who know how to turn adversity into opportunity. You cannot change the cards life deals you, but you can decide how to play them. And sometimes, what seems unfair may actually be a gift, allowing you to discover the strongest version of yourself. Number 2. The comfort zone is a cozy prison. Have you ever felt like your life just drifts by without excitement? A stable job, familiar relationships, and daily routines all create a sense of comfort, but also a deep monotony. That is your comfort zone, a warm, pleasant place, yet also an invisible prison that keeps you still, preventing you from moving forward. At first, the comfort zone provides you with peace of mind and order in your life, but the longer you stay, the more it makes you forget that outside of it lies a world full of opportunities and sometimes challenges waiting to be explored. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "It is only when you face challenges that you discover your true limits." But challenges don't mean you have to take huge risks or sacrifice everything. It simply means trying something new within your ability to control. The comfort zone isn't a bad place, but if you stay there too long, it gradually erodes your confidence, curiosity, and adaptability to the inevitable changes in life. Each day you spend in your comfort zone makes it harder to step out, as fear starts to take hold. Fear of failure, fear of uncertainty, and even fear of judgment from others. Imagine your comfort zone as a ship anchored at the harbor. While in the harbor, the ship faces no storms or danger, but it also never fulfills its true purpose: to sail, explore the ocean, and discover new horizons. Your life is the same. If you only stay in safety, you will never know how great your true potential is. But this doesn't mean you have to give up everything immediately. Change, when taken step by step, allows you to overcome your own barriers while maintaining the stability and security you need. Take Sarah's story as an example. Sarah worked in a marketing company with a stable job, a sufficient income, and a familiar routine. Every day was the same: meetings, answering emails, and completing projects she wasn't truly passionate about. From the outside, people looked at her and thought she was living an ideal life. But deep inside, Sarah always felt stuck. She remembered how, as a child, she had loved photography and dreamed of becoming a photographer. Yet the thought of leaving her stable job to pursue that passion made her anxious. What if I fail? What if I don't make enough money? These questions constantly haunted her. Then one day, instead of just dreaming without action, Sarah decided to take one small step. She signed up for a weekend photography class. On her first day, she felt overwhelmed seeing her classmates, who seemed far more experienced. But instead of quitting, Sarah persisted, learning bit by bit. Gradually, she began receiving requests from friends and family to take photos on weekends. No pressure, no grand expectations. Sarah simply enjoyed doing what she loved. Over time, photography became an irreplaceable part of Sarah's life. It brought her joy, confidence, and meaning she hadn't expected. The key was, she didn't quit her marketing job immediately. Instead, she made careful plans, saving money, building a client network, and learning new skills. Eventually, when she felt ready, both mentally and financially, Sarah transitioned to full-time photography. Sarah's story isn't about abandoning everything to chase a passion. It's about daring to take small steps to expand your comfort zone. It's about finding balance between safety and exploration, between the present and the future. Most importantly, it's proof that stepping out of your comfort zone doesn't have to be reckless. It's a slow but meaningful journey. You see, we often think stepping out of our comfort zone is a huge and frightening act. But that's not true. Sometimes just one small step, one simple action, is enough to create change. You don't need to quit your current job, but you can try new things to reignite the passion inside you. Start with small things, like learning a new skill, joining a project you've never considered, or simply sharing your ideas in a meeting. These small steps will gradually expand your comfort zone without feeling overwhelming. And remember, failure isn't scary. Failure is just proof that you're trying. The comfort zone is not a place you need to abandon completely. It's where you recharge and prepare for the next journey. Just like a ship needs time in the harbor for repairs and readiness, its ultimate purpose is still to set sail. Your life is the same. If you want to feel more alive, ask yourself, what small thing can I do today to step out of my comfort zone? Remember, the best things in life, joy, growth, and pride, lie beyond the comfort zone, and you don't have to make huge changes right away. Step by step, small but steady. The most important thing is, you start. Number 3, not everyone will like you, and that's okay. Have you ever felt pressured to try to please everyone around you? Have you ever wondered if all your efforts to be liked actually bring you happiness? Or do they just leave you exhausted and disconnected from yourself? As humans, we have an instinctive desire for approval from others. In early human history, being liked and accepted by the community was crucial for survival in harsh conditions. But in today's modern society, where approval is no longer a matter of survival, placing your happiness in the hands of others has become a burden that slowly robs you of your freedom. The philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "What others think of you doesn't matter. What matters is that you live according to your conscience and values." This statement serves as a wake-up call. Your life is not a stage, and you don't have to play the lead role in someone else's script. Everyone has different values, expectations, and standards of living. That means you will connect with some people, but you will never be able to please everyone. If you try to win everyone's approval, you are only trading away your identity to become a version of yourself that even you won't recognize. Think about it. You can be a shining light, but even the brightest light cannot illuminate everything. And that's okay. It only needs to shine where it matters, where its value is recognized. Similarly, you don't need everyone to love you. True freedom comes when you realize that being liked by everyone is unnecessary, and it's completely fine. The story of Atticus Finch in Harper Lee's classic novel To Kill a Mockingbird is a perfect illustration of this lesson. Atticus, a lawyer in the American South during the era of intense racial segregation, decides to defend an innocent black man falsely accused by a white woman. He knows full well that his decision will bring hatred, criticism, and scorn from the entire town. The mockery, the loss of friendships, and even threats to his family do not deter him. Atticus understands that standing up for justice and what is right is far more important than being liked. He chooses to live in alignment with his values, even knowing the cost will be high. Atticus's story reminds us that living authentically sometimes means losing the support of many people. But that is where courage and integrity are born, qualities no one can take away from you. The desire to be liked, if unchecked, can become a trap. You might believe that being loved by everyone is a measure of your self-worth, but the truth is quite the opposite. When you try to please everyone, you not only create pressure for yourself, but also waste precious time that could be spent living authentically. Think about it. Are you holding on to relationships out of fear of loneliness, even if they drain you and make you feel unvalued? Are you constantly changing yourself, trying to become some perfect version, just to meet others' expectations? Life isn't a race to win everyone's approval. On the contrary, it's a journey to realize your own value and build genuine relationships based on mutual understanding and respect. Stoic philosophy teaches us that what others think of you is outside your control, but how you respond to it is entirely within your power. Epictetus once said, "We are not disturbed by what happens, but by how we interpret it." When you worry about what others think of you, ask yourself, does this really matter? Does it affect my core values? If the answer is no, learn to let it go. What's important is living according to the values you believe in. Marcus Aurelius also emphasized, "Do not let your mind be occupied by others' judgment." The only thing you need to care about is whether your actions are right and in line with your morals. Peace doesn't come from earning everyone's approval. It comes from knowing you are doing the right thing and staying true to yourself. So how can you overcome the fear of not being liked and find true inner freedom? First, identify your core values. What truly matters to you? It could be honesty, kindness, or creativity. When you know what makes you feel proud and fulfilled, it becomes easier to reject unnecessary pressures from others. Second, let go of toxic relationships. If someone doesn't respect you, constantly criticizes you, or makes you feel like you're not good enough, don't be afraid to walk away. Letting go isn't a loss. It's creating space for healthier relationships to come into your life. Finally, accept that you can't please everyone, and that's not a failure. Instead of trying to control others' opinions, focus on the people who truly understand, respect, and appreciate you for who you really are. Life is too short to live like a leaf blown in the wind of others' opinions. Not everyone will like you, and that's perfectly okay. What matters is living according to your values, building meaningful relationships, and finding peace in doing the right thing. When you live authentically, you will not only feel freer, but you will also attract people who truly value you. And that, in the end, is what truly matters. Number 4. Change is inevitable. Learn to adapt. Have you ever felt lost when life suddenly changed? A dream job lost, a relationship broken, or a life plan disrupted by unexpected events you never foresaw? Change often arrives uninvited, as sudden as a storm, sweeping away the familiar and leaving behind uncertainty and anxiety. But if there's one certainty in life, it's this: change is the only constant, and when you resist it, you only make life harder for yourself. The philosopher Heraclitus once said, "No one steps into the same river twice. The water in the river constantly flows, each moment is new, and the world is the same, always moving and changing." This philosophy goes beyond simply accepting change. It encourages you to embrace it as an opportunity for growth. Life is in constant motion, and adapting to change is the only way to truly live and thrive in a world that never stands still. Change may be frightening, but it is also a chance to discover new aspects of yourself you never knew existed. Imagine change as a vast river. If you cling to the shore, afraid to step into the water, the current will pull you along, leaving you exhausted and helpless. But if you learn to swim and work with the flow, you'll realize that the river is not just a challenge, it's also a path that can take you to new lands. Resisting change is never the answer. Adapting to it is the way to survive and grow. This is a core lesson of Stoic philosophy. You cannot control what happens, but you can control how you respond. Let's look at a real-life example. A man once poured his heart and soul into running a small business. He invested everything, his money, time, and even his reputation, into this project. But for some reason, maybe market shifts or poor decisions, his company failed. At first, he felt defeated and lost. But instead of blaming fate or clinging to what was gone, he chose to learn from the failure. He spent time analyzing his mistakes, gaining new skills, and most importantly, he didn't let fear stop him. When he launched his second business, he applied all the lessons from his past failure, and this time he achieved even greater success than he had imagined. Change could have broken him, but instead it became the opportunity that allowed him to become a better version of himself. Remember, change doesn't just bring loss. It also opens doors to opportunities you never considered. A closed door might lead to a new path, one that's even better. But this can only happen when you're willing to step beyond your fear and embrace what's inevitable. When faced with change, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? This transformational question allows you to see the potential in change, rather than focusing solely on the difficulties it brings. Stoic philosophy reminds us that every event in life carries a lesson if you're willing to look for it. Change is not the enemy. It's a strict teacher. What you learn from change could be patience, flexibility, or even humility, qualities that will help you stand strong in life's future challenges. Just as a skilled sailor isn't trained on calm seas but through raging storms, so too are you shaped by change. It doesn't make you weaker, it makes you stronger if you face it head on. So, how can you embrace change instead of fearing it? Start with small steps. When a major change happens, instead of reacting hastily or resisting, take time to evaluate the situation. Ask yourself, what's within my control? How can I turn this situation into an opportunity? Don't be afraid to try new things or shift your perspective. Sometimes change is not an obstacle, but a chance to expand your limits. Think of change in life as waves. You can't stop the waves from coming, but you can learn to ride them. Every wave carries a lesson, an opportunity to test yourself and grow. Don't let fear hold you back and make you cling to what's familiar. Let life's current take you to places you never imagined. Life is a river in constant motion, and you get to choose how you face it. Will you let the current sweep you away, or will you learn to swim and use the flow to move forward? Change may not be easy, but when you stop resisting it and learn to adapt, you'll realize it's not just a challenge, it's also an opportunity to grow and uncover your true potential. Remember, change never stops, and neither should you. Number 5. Happiness is a choice, not a result. Happiness. It's something everyone desires, but why do so many people spend their entire lives chasing it and still never seem to reach it? Could it be because we've made the mistake of believing that happiness depends on circumstances, luck, or the perfect conditions life has yet to offer? In reality, happiness is not the result of what happens outside of us. It is a choice, a decision you make every day, no matter what your life looks like. As the philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you that upsets you, but how you perceive it." Imagine standing in a pitch-black room. Darkness surrounds you, bringing uncertainty and a sense of being lost. But in that very room, all you have to do is reach out and flip the switch, and the light appears, making everything clear. Happiness is just like that light. It's always there, within your reach. The problem is not the circumstances you're facing. The real question is whether you're willing to make the choice to turn on that light. Consider the story of a man who lost everything in an economic crisis. Overnight, he lost it all: his money, his job, and the stability he had spent his entire life building. For many, this would be the end. But instead of drowning in despair, he chose to see the loss as a new beginning. He told himself, "Losing everything means I now have a chance to start over, this time with lessons I never had before." He spent time focusing on the little things he had once overlooked: the warmth of his morning coffee, the peace of gardening, and the joy of spending time with his family. He didn't look for happiness in regaining what was lost. Instead, he found it in appreciating the simple things in the present moment. Gradually, he rebuilt his life from the ground up with newfound optimism and resilience. Through this process, he realized that happiness didn't come from what he owned, but from how he chose to see and live with what he had. We often think of happiness as a destination, that if we get a better job, a bigger house, or a fuller bank account, we will automatically feel satisfied. But the truth is, if you don't choose to see life with gratitude and optimism now, even when you achieve all of those things, happiness will continue to evade you. Happiness doesn't depend on ideal conditions. It lies in how you respond to what you already have, right in this moment. Stoic philosophy reminds us that while we cannot control our circumstances, we can control how we react to them. When faced with a difficult situation, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I turn this into an opportunity? This question shifts you from a victim mindset, where everything feels out of control, to an active mindset, where you take ownership of how you live and perceive life. To turn happiness into a habit, you can start with small daily actions. One effective method is practicing gratitude. At the end of each day, take time to write down 3 good things that happened. They don't have to be major events. Sometimes it's just a cool breeze, a delicious meal, or a smile from a loved one. These small moments often go unnoticed in the busyness of life, but they are the very source of deep happiness. When you begin to notice and appreciate these little things, life starts to feel far more meaningful. Additionally, remind yourself that in every situation, you always have the power to choose how to respond. Even when facing great challenges, tell yourself, this does not define me. How I face and overcome this is what defines me. By choosing to find meaning and opportunity in hardship, you create happiness from within, no matter how difficult your circumstances may be. You might be thinking, this sounds easier said than done. And you're right. Changing your perspective and learning to choose happiness is not simple, but it's entirely possible if you are patient. Just like the light in the darkroom, you don't need to wait for someone else to come and flip the switch. You can do it yourself right now. Remember, happiness is not a distant destination or a reward reserved for the lucky. It's a choice, a habit, a way of life. You don't need to wait for circumstances to change or for everything to be perfect to feel content. All you need to do is change your perspective, and happiness will appear in every moment. So, what will you choose today? Will you complain and regret what isn't perfect? Or will you find joy in the little things and remind yourself that you have the power to control how you see life? Happiness is always within your hands, and so is the choice. Number 6. Success comes from perseverance, not talent. Success doesn't come from innate talent, but from relentless perseverance. Many people look at successful individuals and think, they're so gifted, they have a special ability that I don't have. But that's an illusion. Talent is only the starting point, a tiny spark at the beginning of a long journey. It is perseverance, persistence, and commitment to your goals that become the steady flame, helping you overcome challenges to achieve success. The philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "Great things are built from small actions repeated daily." Success does not come from a single shining moment or a giant leap. It is the result of thousands of small, repeated actions. What you do consistently every day, no matter how small or ordinary it may seem, becomes the solid bricks that build the wall of success. Think about Thomas Edison, the man who experimented over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. For most people, 10 failures would be enough to give up. But for Edison, each failure wasn't the end. It was one step closer to success. When asked about his failed attempts, he calmly replied, "I have not failed. I've just found 1,000 ways that won't work." That is the power of perseverance. Talent might help you start, but only persistence will help you finish. Success is like building a massive wall. Each day you lay one brick, carefully and steadily. Some days, it may feel like you're making no progress, as if the wall hasn't moved an inch, and you start to doubt yourself. But if you keep going, day after day, each brick will eventually form a strong, sturdy wall. On the other hand, if you give up, the work will remain forever unfinished. The difference between successful and unsuccessful people isn't talent, it's the ability to persist through the toughest days. Successful people understand that they won't always feel inspired or motivated, but instead of waiting for the perfect moment, they keep taking action regardless of how they feel. It is this patient repetition that leads to extraordinary results over time. Start with the smallest effort. Don't try to make a huge leap or change everything in one day. That's the fastest way to burn out. Instead, commit to improving just 1% each day. It can be as simple as reading one more page, spending 15 extra minutes practicing, or writing one small part of a plan. No matter how small, it's still progress. And when you add up those 1% improvements over time, you'll be amazed at what you can achieve. Imagine this. If you improve yourself by just 1% every day by the end of a year, you'll be 37 times better than when you started. That is the power of persistence and consistent effort. You don't need to be the best or the most talented. What you need is the determination to never give up, even when challenges pile up and progress feels invisible. Here's a truth few people realize. Perseverance doesn't just help you achieve your goals. It also strengthens you as a person. Every time you overcome laziness, discouragement, or failure, you not only move closer to success, but also become a more disciplined, resilient, and confident version of yourself. Remember, talent alone doesn't determine success. The world is full of talented people who fail because they lack perseverance. And there are ordinary people, not particularly remarkable, who achieve extraordinary things through persistence. You don't need to be the smartest or the best. You just need to be the most determined, the one who never gives up. So, start today. Even if it's just one small action, write part of a plan, read a single page, practice a new skill, or simply commit to improving by 1% each day. Remember, success doesn't come from a giant leap. It comes from patiently laying one small brick at a time, even when no one is watching. The journey won't be easy, but if you keep moving forward, the wall of success you build will be solid, lasting, and something to be proud of. Happiness doesn't come from avoiding uncomfortable truths, but from bravely facing, accepting, and acting upon them. Only when you stop running away and live true to yourself will you find true freedom. If you find these insights helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our latest videos. Thank you for taking the time to watch and support. Let's live stronger and more meaningful lives together. See you in the next video.